nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call meeting to order. Anybody would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
No. Make a motion to approve the minutes. The June 11th meeting is presented by the clerk.
I'll second.
Councilor Tremblay made a motion that the minutes of the 6/11/2012 regular town board meeting be approved as submitted by the town clerk, seconded by Councilor Devlin. Okay, roll call. Councilor Latimer.
Yes.
Councilor Dino.
Yes.
Councilor Devlin.
Yes.
Councilor Tremblay.
Yes.
Supervisor Smith.
Yes. We have a couple of people that want to come before the board tonight and present a couple of things, so we're going to start with Dory Kurtz.
Hello, I think I know all of you. My name is Dory Kurtz. I live in Chazy, but I also serve as Executive Director of the County Clinton Industrial Development Agency. Many of you remember me. I also used to serve as President of the Development Corporation and have stayed on this year to help them transition to their new Executive Director and President. So I really actually thought the staying on was going to be relatively quiet. You know, we were anticipating that the Lynching project at the IDA would close, and then I wanted to make sure that things would transition very well. Even though that hasn't happened, we've been busier than you probably might have expected us to be in January. Over the first month or two of the year, it became clear that folks who owned the former Wyatt facility here in Chazy, Pfizer, wanted to auction off the property. And an auction was actually set for February the 4th, and some community leaders in Clinton County got together and we tried to look at a way that we could at least delay the auction, because we were concerned that someone would come and strip the facility and leave it as an unpleasant location, and it was going to be problematic for this community, this school district, and this county. So we put together a relatively complicated plan, and it actually turned out that the Industrial Development Agency decided to take the lead on the project. And you'll be pleased to know that the chairman of the Industrial Development Agency is also a Chazy resident, Trevor Treasure. So both of us were really pretty committed to making sure that this Chazy asset had really the opportunity to be marketed for a longer period of time. Over the last year or so, we've been a little bit unhappy as community leaders with the way the facility was being marketed, because we really felt that perhaps the marketing company wasn't as committed to getting a new user in the property. So we put together a complicated plan that had 3 or 4 main components. I just want to review those very quickly for you. Number one, we were tasked to negotiate with Pfizer to take the facility at a nominal cost. They're tough business people, but we were able to negotiate what I think ended up being a very satisfactory deal. We got the property at a nominal cost, but we also got one thing that was important to the town, very important to the school district, and important to the county. As you know, Wyatt and then Pfizer had some tax proceedings in which the town was named and the school district was named. As part of the deal, when they became anxious that we were kind of getting cold feet, we said, what we really want you to do is to assign us at the IDA created this limited liability company called Clinton Industrial Development Acquisition, specifically to take ownership of this property. We want you to assign all your rights in the lawsuit going backwards and going forwards to the LLC. And they agreed to do that. So we are now And our goal was, and Staub has been involved in these meetings, to actually settle the lawsuit, so that you're not gonna have to worry about anything going forward and anything going bad. In return, we asked for, as part of the settlement, we want to reestablish that 2-year tax abatement, which we talked about with you 2 years ago, just when the plant was, when the facility was closed. So we negotiated with Pfizer, we got them to assign all the tax proceedings to us. We committed and actually Jackie Kelleher, who's the attorney for the school district, came up with a really wonderful idea to be able to facilitate that settlement. And she's working on the draft of the Bill Favreau is involved as county attorney, and so I think we've got everybody sort of on board. So, besides working with Pfizer, the second thing that we did was work with New York State and apply for and negotiate a $1.2 million grant, which they have given to the LLC to help us maintain the facility in caretaker mode for 2 years and to market the facility. So when that was announced, it had essentially 3 components. One was a maintenance component, and we have an RFP and have a local maintenance contractor who's maintaining the facility for us and who is overseeing, making sure that it stays in caretaker mode, all of the systems are working, and so that's really an important thing. It's John Poisson, who is actually a property owner in Chazy, also lives in Plattsburgh, from his company Lake City Properties. He has a number of folks who worked at the Chazy facility working for him, so we feel like we really have kind of a good team together, and we're working very hard to maintain the facilities. I spent a lot of the afternoon out there with TriLink and NICEAG trying to get the metering done. It's been pretty hands-on for me. So the third thing that we did, so we got the facility, and I wanted to make sure that you understood. I understand Legislator Dyer was here last month, and I wanted to tell you that the deal closed on May 31st. So the limited liability company, Clinton Industrial Development Acquisition, owns the property outright as of May 31st. And I'll tell you, we've taken off all the DEC permits, all of those kinds of things that we've sort of walked into, and to some extent the state will be helping us to pay for that. And I think the folks on the Industrial Development Agency feel like it was really the right thing to do. It's a different kind of project for us, but so one of the things that we need to do in this 2-year period that our $1.2 million grant from the state does is actively market the facility. And just so you know, we do have 2 very active prospects. Don't know where that's going to go, but interesting prospects. I can't really share more details with you than that, but we've been doing some site visits. We've been providing a lot of good information. So, and we have yet to get our marketing part of our project. We've had some requests for proposals. The state's not been happy with the responses we got, so we're going to have to rebid that, but we will be doing that. So, the reason I'm here tonight, that as all prelude, this 2-year tax abatement piece that we have talked about would usually be very straightforward for the IDA to do. We'd go in, we would notify you that we were going to do the tax abatement, and we'd go through the inducement process, and that's it. But all of you know, as people who work in local government, that March 1st is a really important day, tax status date in New York State and in Clinton County. So on March 1st of 2012, Pfizer was the owner of the facility. And so that date and their ownership on that date set in motion the 2013 taxes for the county and for the town. It also set in motion the taxes, school taxes, for the period July 1st to September, to June 30th, which are payable in September. We all live here, we know when those taxes are due. So there's always a complication of, it will not be until next March 1st that our ownership will be recognized. That our ownership will be recognized. So we had to really think of a way, and we really looked at stuff and tell you lots of different kinds of ways. How do we get this period to be abated and taxed and have it forward? So actually, the attorney for the school district came up with what we think is a really good way. This is, we will have settlement of the tax proceedings. And then you have the letter that's the deviation from the tax abatement, and that will affect the 2014 taxes. Because your 2013 are already in play, and they will get settled in the settlement. And so the tax deviation, pretty complicated stuff, so please, I'm happy to answer any questions. So the deviation notice we sent is for county and town taxes that are due in January 2014. One of the other things that we got Pfizer to do was not to seek the proration of the taxes at closing. So they have, in January, paid all the taxes for this year. And at the county, they have too, and they paid all of the taxes for the schools up until June 30th. So the settlement will then allow us to fund the tax abatement for that period, and then the deviation will be well. Since we really didn't have any source of funding in our application to the state, we used the funds that we will get from tax abatement as our local share. So we had to know how much the taxes were going to be, and they were willing to see that non-cash item as part of the local share. So you are making this happen, and that's a good thing. But you have been paid, and nobody's going to look for anything that came in already, not to go back. In 2013, the settlement will take over, and so there won't be any taxes then. In 2014, the deviation. So we expect that to be 2 years. What we've always said is going to be 2 years. Our funding from the state is 2 years, and we want to do a good job. And I never thought that, as many of you know, my husband was the senior director of that facility before his retirement. And so the first couple of days, the security people were calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning when the buzzer would go off because one of the smoke detectors didn't work or whatever. And he said to me, you know, when I was there, somebody else got those phone calls. But in any case, so I'm happy to answer any questions. It's kind of complicated. The settlement, I think, is really positive for you. I mean, you do not have to look back and think about, do we need to set aside money to solve this? Because I believe the school district really believed that Pfizer would prevail. I think, is it the press here? Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm not sure the folks at Pfizer completely understood the value to the school district and to you of settling that tax settlement. So there'll be a very small cost to you in taxes that you forgive for a 1 year period, and you don't have to look back and say, what about, I think it was 8 years? 8 years worth of taxes that they So we felt like that was really a positive for the town, and the county was not a named party to the suit, but had the suit been lost by the school district and the town, they were going to have to give back taxes too. So they were very pleased with it. Any questions?
I think one of the questions, and I am sure within 2 years, hopefully something will be
Yes.
I don't want to be negative
You
here.
want to know what's the?
What happens at the end of the tunnel
Okay.
is nothing.
I'm happy to tell you this, because, and we talked about this in public at the IDA, because we have a wonderful bond counsel, and he is the kind of lawyer who says, okay, let's look at the worst case scenario, what's the worst thing that could happen? And the county legislature knows that they're the end game. At the end of 2 years, if we haven't found a suitable buyer and a suitable user, and remember, the buyer is, we're really looking for the jobs and the business. We're not looking to make any money at all. I mean, that's not our goal. Our goal is to bring the jobs to the community, the tax assessment to the town, and so we work very closely with Attorney Favreau, with our lawyer. We went to Bill and said, okay, Bill, let's look at this worst case scenario, and we have to get foreclosed on, or it gets abandoned, or whatever. What's the bottom line case? And we said, it's the county. And Councilor Langley, agreed, the administrator is on the IDA, so that's something that county administrator is on the IDA. One of the things that Attorney Favreau asked us to do to make sure that if that transition were to occur, worst case scenario, so we have taken some title insurance, which usually if you're buying something for a nominal cost, you're not going to spend money on title insurance. But we've done that because they really thought it was the right thing to do. So we have to face that in 2 years. We're going to be ready for it. So I'm an optimistic person, but I'm also a realistic person. I think we need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. And we all said to our attorney, George Craig, okay, John, you're making it clear to us with all the decisions that we need to make. But we've had really the help of so many people along the way. For example, when we took over the property, we had to transfer all the utilities. And this is a big utility user. And so NYSEG was going to charge us almost $50,000 just for deposits. We don't have any money. We won't get money from the state until we spend it, and we get it first. And so we're having a line of credit that's going to spending. So one of the folks on the IDA is the local NYSEG engineer. So he arranged for us not to have to put up that deposit. So in every step along the way, the people in the community have really helped us with this. So, any other questions?
I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly. So for our budget year of 2013, we're not going to be receiving any tax money from the Pfizer facility.
That's in
the settlement.
That's in the settlement, so you never have to worry about they can't come back to you looking forward or looking back. So you can say that money that you were thinking had to be sort of out there, but you're not going to get as part of the settlement any funds. And then recipient deviation for 2014, which is no taxes. But the reason for the settlement has to do with the tax status date.
Just so you know, Chris, this is just town, okay? Last year, you're looking at about $43,000 between town tax, general fund, highway fund, and fire protection. That's not the school, this is just town.
Right.
2011 was approximately 43,000.
But the town's going to be.
It's not including county.
So we thought that settlement was an inexpensive way, sorry to say anything about lawyers, no legal fees. Although, and Jackie Kelleher's doing the agreement. She's actually writing the draft of it, and then you and Bill will see it, Bill will see it for the county, our lawyers will see it. Also will allow the school district to access the funds that they put aside and not have to worry about that. causing it. So we
Yeah.
kind of have to figure this out.
And if you're able to market the building, let's say something happened and you're able to market it in 6 months, one of these deals comes through.
Yep.
At that point in time in your negotiations right now, would that become on the tax roll again, or what are you working on?
Good question. So the deviation only goes to the time when the LLC doesn't own it anymore. So if we were to sell it in 6 months, it would go on the tax rolls unless the company came to us and asked for some kind of a tax abatement. Now, I think we've talked to 2 prospects, well, talked to a number of prospects. We have 2 that we've talked to. And one has said, oh, well, we want to have this tax abatement. And we said, we want to know about jobs, we want to know about investment. We will evaluate that, and we will include you in the evaluation. Always one of the things that the IDA has worked really hard to do is to make sure that the communities where we do projects end up having their say. And that's why we were out here 2 years ago when it first was. So we're not looking for anything to roll over, although all the prospects have asked that question.
And wants to stop, I mean, you said that you're gonna let the building go, you're not gonna make any money, so if you were to sell the building to another pharmaceutical company for the 1.2 million that you acquired it for.
But we don't have to pay that money back to the state.
No, but I'm just saying, if that's what you decided to do.
For $1.
Okay, but let's say you decided that you were gonna let it go for 1.2 million. What are you doing to ensure that once they take the building, that they're not going to abandon it like what Pfizer did and let it go for scrap again?
Well,
What do we have for backup plan in
I
that
think we're
case?
really trying very hard to vet the prospects that we have, to make sure that they have a good business plan. And I think all of them will be looking for New York State's assistance. And so New York State will be assisting them. But if we were to, let's say we were to sell it for $1 million, if we got $1 million from the state to maintain it, we've got to pay that back to the state.
So that money goes back to the
Yeah,
state.
but if we sell it for $100,000 and we use $900,000 of the state money, we don't have to pay that back. I mean, but if we sell it for
Let's say you
the
sold
same, $1, the same as we bought it for, we wouldn't have to pay back the money to the state.
Now, let's say you sold it for 5 million. Could you keep that money so that if it goes into
I think
an
we-
abandonment again, you could use that money for the same?
I think we could, and if we were to do that, which I think is highly unlikely, we'd have to pay the state off.
Right.
But then we'd have plenty of money to maintain it for a longer period of time. It is the maintenance costs, it's in caretaker mode. So, I don't know, many people in the community have been inside that facility lots of times because they have family there, in the ice storm, they run the showers and all of that kind of stuff. It's a very focused facility on the kind of work that we do. It's state of the art, it's a difficult thing to, for a small company to take on. It just has enormous costs to just run it.
See,
So,
the only thing I'm concerned about is like in industrial park, you'll see businesses come in, they'll take all the tax advantages that are given to them, and then when the tax advantages are done, so is the
you know,
business.
I think there's a little bit of a fallacy. I mean, we actually were just doing a study of the idea, looking at projects that, if you remember when Bavaria first came to Plattsburgh, that was probably infamous in everybody saying, as soon as that tax abatement is over, they're going to be done. And that tax abatement had come about because the then mayor had promised it, and the city couldn't deliver it, so it came to the IDA, we went to people in town. Well, end of story is, not only did they pay off all their debts, not only did they bought the land underneath the building from the local development corporation of the city, and they expanded their business incredibly. So, I mean, that's probably one that was infamous in town, where people said, oh, they're gonna be gone, and they haven't been. And they brought all the Chicago business here. So I mostly haven't seen that happen. But I think there may be some examples we should come with that. I think fewer examples in other parts of the county. And we had listed the town of Champlain IDA, so that's all.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you've
My
done.
card is there, please call me, and I'll stop by my house. I'm trying to be retired. Not very successfully, but pretty, just to give you a heads up, you know, over the fall and stuff, the idea will have a new executive.
Thank you very
But
much.
Trent will be in.
Very good.
Okay.
We'll
Thank
be
you.
in touch, and thank you.
Next, we have the JCEO.
She just whispered to me, telling me that I was going next, so. Okay. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to come. My name is Julie Stalker, and I am also a resident of Chazy. And what I am is the Senior Outreach Director, and what we do is I have 3 outreach workers that go out and visit seniors in the county. We explain to them the services that are available to them, how to access them, and then help them through that process. It's a very lengthy process and a very confusing process. And when I say services, basically I mean any service that you can possibly think of due to, there are a lot out there for seniors. Not that seniors don't know about. I don't want to be too busy explaining them. So what we can do is we go out and we visit a senior, talk to them basically and let them know if they're interested in anything. First of all, we're not intrusive or invasive or any of that kind of thing. If they don't want us there, we don't have to go. But my big push is, there are a lot of seniors out there right now that are not meeting their needs. We have seniors that are making the choice between medication and making the choice between food. There's programs out there to help, they just don't want to ask. So my big push is to talk to you guys and let you know that we're available, how to reach out to us and refer people to us. And you can do it anonymously. I have a lot of cold calls. Actually, this afternoon I had a lawyer call me from town, said that they had an individual, a lady that had recently lost her husband. Didn't know what to do, didn't know where to go. She got kicked out of Walmart because she was asking too many questions. I said she was asking too many questions. Well, the kid didn't want to listen to her, so he told her to go away. So she got a little violent. So now she's facing some charges because we can't have that in the Walmart, apparently. So that makes me very, very nervous that we have are not knowing how to read. So what we encourage you to do is every service that's available is in this book that we go over. It's we're subcontracted by the Office of the Agent to go out and do this. We let them know how to get there, how to do it, and a lot of people don't want to deal with paperwork either. So that's another thing that we do. We assist through the whole process. We start and we finish. That's our whole purpose. We do a lot of things with Medicaid, with food stamps. I've helped a lot of seniors with the medical Part B plans that are very confusing for people. I mentioned that we have people making choices. That's hard. That's hard when you need the medication to live, you need food to eat. So I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but a couple other programs that I have, because not everybody's in that dire situation. But there are people out there that might be lonely and might need a friend, or don't do anything anymore but want to do something. We have programs for that too. We have a friendly visitor program, we have a telephone reassurance program. We're always looking for volunteers to come in and reach out to other non-seniors. So another program I have is our rural transportation program. A lot of seniors aren't driving anymore. Don't know how to get to and from their medical appointments. We have volunteers, very wonderful volunteers in our community that will pick up the senior, take them to the appointment, and bring them home. Free of charge, doesn't cost them anything. All we require is they give us a couple days notice. It's hard to do 24-hour notice, but we do it. So, a little brief synopsis of what we do. Again, I encourage, I left my card, and I got some extra brochures that we can leave here in the town hall for people if they want to call me. anonymously, or, just say, hey, I heard that I have a senior friend that needs some services, so please, give them a call. And we're a little persuasive to get in there, so just so you know, farmer market coupons are out, and we also deliver those too. So if you, that kind of gets us in the door too, they want those vegetable coupons. So I'm located right at 54 Market Street. I have an outreach worker in this area that covers. We have our community outreach located in West Chazy, Deanne, she's wonderful, referable. But I actually have somebody that's in the area, she lives in Ellenburg area, that will come out in this area. Like I said, I can cover the whole place. So, and there's also myself that likes to go out and do this too, so really good. But, yeah, so that's just my little brief synopsis. My big push is, we want to make sure we're taking care of those seniors in the community. So refer. So, see if I have any questions?
And there's no,
There is no cost, and the whole issue with that is there may be an income guideline regarding what service you might want, but there's no cost for me to go out and talk to you about, Medicare issues, or billing issues, or maybe you have an unruly neighbor that you don't want to handle, you don't want to be bothered. I've dealt with a couple of those where they're not getting along with people. So we've gone out kind of been the mediator a little bit. So we dealt with very different things. It was a new one that the lady didn't pick that at Walmart. So, but unfortunately, this makes me very worried about what's happening with those homebound seniors or those people that lose their loved ones and don't know how to reach out and say, help me.
and when you're saying seniors, what age?
Over the age of 60. So.
Very much.
Very good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So, let me speak. My name is Christine. I'm the Director of JCBL. This is just one brochure. We've ordered more. Toddlers, preschoolers, school age. I'll make sure that we have some here. I'm here to talk a little bit about what I do. I'm the daycare director of JCL, and my program is a little twofold. One, I recruit individuals to become registered daycare providers in Clinton County, and I also do resource referral for parents seeking child care, and then we do child and adult care food program for providers that are registered or licensed in Clinton County. So, with that being said, to become a registered daycare provider, first of all, there's three types of providers. There's legally exempt providers where individuals can care for up to 2 children and still be considered legal. There's family daycare providers where individuals can care for up to 6 children plus 2 school age, so a total of 8. And then there's group family daycare providers, which are licensed daycare providers, and they can care for up to 16 children with an assistant 18 or older. So my job is to get registered, to help individuals become registered or licensed daycare providers. We presently have 3 daycare providers in the Chazy area, and we're in need of more daycare providers in the Chazy area because we have parents looking for daycare. Now, the question used to be when parents call for daycare, because I've been doing this job for 25 years, how much do providers charge? That's no longer the question. The question here is, what type of daycare do they offer? I'm here to tell you what a person goes through unregistered daycare providers, because people don't realize what they go through. And it's intense, it really is. First of all, they receive a packet. Has anyone ever seen the application packet or heard about the application packet? It's a 53-page application packet to become a registered daycare provider. They have to take a health and safety training course, which is a 15-hour course. They have to be fingerprinted. They and the household members, 18 or anyone 18 or older has to be fingerprinted. We have to give physical statements from their physician. Anyone in the household has to get the same thing. They have to mentions to go. They have to go through the clearance, the essential clearance, fingerprints, diagram of their home, indoor, outdoor play area. They have to have CPR, infant and toddler CPR and first aid. They're required to do that. They're required to have an inspection by either the licensor from Albany or registered from Clinton County Department of Social Services. In addition to that, the building codes enforcement officer from Albany has to do their inspection. In addition to that, once they do their inspection and the licensor comes back and does their inspection, they have to have a water test if they have well water. If they have a waste over a fireplace, that has to be inspected as well. So it's a pretty intense procedure. If they want to give medication to children, they have to have MAP certification, medication administration training. So it's really intense. And then you have to have 30 hours of training every 2 years. So our job is to help them get registered and then to help them with the training as the years go on. So that's what it provides. So with that being said, we have started money to help them get started. Took $400 to help them with first aid kits, the fire extinguishers, the smoke detectors, and anything like that. If they need a fence, if local here at the Department of Social Services feels that we need to get a fence, we have limited monies to help with that. Okay? Which sometimes they do. If they have a pool, as you know, the fence is a pool, that is a requirement. Waiting pools are prohibited. They cannot have a waiting pool, that is prohibited. Okay. Once they're registered or licensed, their name goes on the source referral list, and then what we do is parents seeking child care, we will get out their name. And we try to match the parents' needs with the provider's needs. And that's a free service to all parents. It's totally free. As well as becoming registered, we'll go to the provider's home, we'll help them with their packet. We'll do whatever we can to help them become registered. We'll do one-on-one training if we need to help them with that as well. To participate with the child and adult care food program, the requirement is that they serve nutritious meals and snacks, because we always want our children to have nutritious meals and snacks. And providers can receive anywhere from $100 to $800 cash reimbursement, as long as they serve nutritious meals and snacks. And then we'll have 4 unannounced visits by our agency. We do unannounced inspections. And that's what's required. What I'd like to do is recruit more individuals to be registered, because we have parents seeking child care in this area. That was pretty short and brief.
We'll help you do that. We'll try to help you do that.
Thank you. I mean, that's exactly what we need. Any questions? What's necessary? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Does anybody else like to address the board tonight? Yeah, quick.
I just want to apologize for being late. The Finance Committee met tonight, and I told you we're halfway through the year. We're about 1.6 above projection for the year, which is very, very good. Anytime you get sales tax, it's something off. And things are looking good. They can't tell me where it's coming from. That's what I really want to know. I think a lot of this is fuel and expenses, but sales tax is coming in very, very well. So, any questions you have of me, and again, I apologize. Just running a little late. Thank you.
Anybody else like to address the board? Okay, we'll close public comment session then. I'm going to start tonight because I just have a few things just to let people know about. The roof project has started. Gentleman is working on the roof as we speak. But he's working on the roof. Just to let you know also, we did a lightning strike the other night when we had that thunderstorm again at the water tower. So we're trying to get the water tower back up and running with the computer again. It's been running manually. Mr. Smith's been working with Dave, and they're getting Aqualogics involved, and so we may have an insurance claim, but we've notified the insurance company just in case, see if it costs. We put all kinds of we did put lightning rods or whatever.
Yeah.
Never even came close to it. make the train directly, pretty much, he said, so. It's gonna happen, you know, I mean, the tower's so tall, and
I thought the last time we took care of it.
well, it's still going. Anyway, just wanted to let you know where we were with that. We do have a new drought control officer. Her name is Kaylee LeBombard for Moore. And if anybody needs to reach her, her phone number is 420-6790. Kaylee LeBombard, and she's been visited by the property agencies to make sure the facility is okay, and she's passed everything. And we'd like to thank Todd Ferret for representing us for the last couple of years. He did a really good job, but I guess things came up and he had to resign, so we'd like to thank him for everything he's done. Our park lane payments for the sand shed have been completed, so we just have a few more reports to send in for our reimbursement from the state for our grant that they had actually given us. So I just want to let you know that our payments to them have been completed, and we're going to be paid off. I do want to bring up, I have been in contact with about the electronics program that we want to do, and we're pretty much set for that. They're excited to do it in the town of Chazy. We've gotten permission from the school to do it in their parking lot. Got a letter from John Fairchild stating that the board was willing to do that. The only stipulations they had was that make sure after that day was completed that everything was gone. Nothing was left behind. Do we want to do that in the fall, or when do we want to set a date for that? September, maybe late August? I mean, is there any particular date that anybody wants to do it?
Anything?
All right, I'll check for late August, early September as a date. That. Just to let everybody know too that we have been invited by our new establishment after the meeting to Bob Armstrong and Penny Armstrong have invited us to go down and just see what they've done with the facility. They're not opening until late August, but they wanted the board to go down and just look around and see the facility and see what they've done with it. So it's a very nice gesture on their part. So that's what we'll head after the meeting if anybody's available. Welcome to go down. Other than that, everything's running along as usual. Business as it goes. Why don't you go first? You got anything?
Not really, pretty much covered everything. So,
Okay.
all set.
No problem? Got it?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Terry, anything?
I have a couple of things. The Wesleyan Church in West Chazy has a youth group that is looking for projects to do around town. One if there's anything around the rec park that we would like done. So I told them
Is
that,
this in the West Chazy Park or?
yeah, they want to do things within the walking distance of the Wesleyan
How old
Church.
children or?
I think they're from 13 to 16, something. Dale Ann has the lady's number, she gave it to me right over, it's Elaine Atwood is the lady in charge, but Dale Ann has her number. But she called Dale Ann to see, so Dale Ann's gonna have her do some flowers and stuff around the outreach center for her, but she said they were looking for other projects to do around town. and she's
Did they
not-
handle that fireplace problem?
That's masonry.
Yeah, I think they're looking for like raking, maybe
Oh, I
painting, that.
Yard work?
So I definitely the building's down there at this thing.
I'll keep working on it.
So, I don't know if you want to contact
Elaine Atwood.
Elaine at, Elaine has.
Yeah, Elaine has a number?
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that.
What about the store? Is that yes, no? maybe?
It's yes, but he's opening up another store in Plattsburgh. It's a small store, redemption center in Plattsburgh first, and then he's gonna open this one after, he said.
Okay.
But he is still coming in. And he's got an agreement with Stacy, and it's just gonna be delayed for a couple months.
And how are things going with Keegan since we switched? Everything's going smooth.
Very smooth.
And the only other thing is AT&T, or if you heard back anything from them since? No.
Definitely not. Actually, Mr. Comey had mentioned a while back that he didn't expect to hear anything until probably next month.
That's it.
Just a few items as well. The sidewalks, have we started any repair of any of the sidewalks? Like, I thought there were some sidewalks that needed some.
We're gonna go around, we're gonna get Tim Luke and Tim to go around, and there's a couple areas that we'd like to get to, if we can get to them this year. There's a few areas that we'd like to fix, so we are gonna be making a trip. Usually they do that in the early fall.
Well, one of the things in the sidewalks, as far as the sidewalk in Scioto, has anybody mowed both sides of the sidewalk up there? Besides the 1 or 2. Bubba Badger was doing it, but I don't know if Bubba has continued to do it or not. Normally he sends a letter to the board to make us aware of it, but, well, it's not our road. So, usually we don't do anything, it's not our
Well,
road.
we're responsible for maintenance of the sidewalks, but as far as the road, mowing, I know Bubba had done it for a number of years, and we never
really
take
not
care
our,
of it.
not the highway guy, I know.
Might wanna take a ride up there just to take a peek and see if he's.
I know, I
needs
went up,
attention.
by there, and the grass on both sides of the driveway, on 22 side and on the other side it was, waist high. So, you just take a look at that, exactly. Have we started doing any paving yet?
I'm still waiting for town of Plattsburgh to have problems with their paver. We just got it back the other day and started using it. You wanna make sure it's running good over there before we track it out over there. We're hoping in another week and a half to 2 weeks, it should be good.
Okay. Alright. And, last year, I had brought it up and we had discussed it as far as, contacting the state and putting in, possibly a new crosswalk down by the post office. You know how the sidewalk ends on this side of the road and then it starts over on the other side?
I think we talked about that back then.
Yeah.
They didn't think the idea was very good. I can check again, but, I know we addressed that.
I didn't know what
They
the
didn't
outcome of
like the
that
idea
was.
because of where it was, and they thought that the only one that would really be functional was where it is right now, and I'm almost positive we addressed that, but,
Okay, I don't know, I never heard any response, so.
I'm sure we did.
yeah, I'm almost positive we did.
And Lisa's coming in and assisting with Sue. How many hours?
The week that she's coming in soon, I know it's sporadic.
Yeah, it's sporadic. Right now, it's maybe 4 last week, none this week.
And she's doing all right.
No, yeah, this is looking well.
And then the one last thing that I have, it's actually for Sam. I had a gentleman come in and wanted me to bring up to you as far as if there would be any possibility as far as for the county coming up with some type of STAR program on property tax for seniors.
Coming up with, there already is a STAR program.
For school tax, but something similar on the property side of it. He just said that it's getting harder and harder for the seniors, and they're struggling, and, you know, whatever assistance that could be brought towards the property side of it would be appreciated. And I told him I would definitely bring it to your attention.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thanks.
We'll do everything tonight. This is loaded and ramp that we're trying to get finished at the garage because we had to build a new one. Because we paid and got to do that too, so we're trying to get that done. Between everything else. This is what we built, struts along the road. Instead of putting a snow plow in front, we put a roll of roller.
That's what I see you sitting on every morning.
And this is something Buddy Stop got me involved in. We're at the library, that's then tearing that piece of sidewalk out for the library. That's completed now, it's up to them.
Where are you in this picture?
Take a picture.
Oh.
The library appreciates that, we just helped them move the sidewalk a little bit so that they could get a expanded driveway in.
Handicap drive.
And we asked the state if they would do that, or the county, and it was just kind of, right, just across the county, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
they said it was really up to the town. They put them in originally, but it's our function to maintain them, and we could do it if they wanted, but it really, how many hours did it take? 3 hours, so we just helped the library out. They were very grateful for what I did, so.
Oh, I've been discussing with Dobbs and Dr. Chris about it a little bit, about the possibility of turning my town truck over to Dave and taking this Dodge and the town giving me money towards purchasing the truck that we should have for the town. My truck's the perfect truck for Dave, but for what we do, it's something we use. You know, John Patton, did you ever try getting him in the back seat of that truck? Suspended cab, it don't work. It don't work well as an extended cab truck. If it was a four-door maybe, but not a, I mean, it's just, but in 6-foot box ain't good.
Are you trying to say how Sue feeds them too well?
Well, they're all getting pretty big though.
Tell them what you're thinking of getting, Ken.
What I'd like to get is, used, don't need new, just a used 1 ton with a dump box on it with a plow. And when Dave gets my truck, you get it with the plow and the sander. Instead of using a number 60 tractor all winter to plow out the water and sewer and everything, you can use the truck and the plow here, you'd have the truck, you'd have the sander, the sand, you'd be all set right up. And in the winter, I could do the roads, that truck, the 1 ton. In the summer, the guys could use it, hot patching roads and everything, instead of taking a big tandem dump truck. Take a smaller truck, better on fuel. Been discussing that. I haven't found anything, I found one, but we backed out on it, so.
Oh, we do.
They won't give me a price on it, said we can wholesale it. Just looking at it, see what you guys have been thinking, I don't know.
Sounds like a good idea.
So you would drive Dave's truck normally, and then,
In the winter, I'd drive the 1 ton, I don't put the plow on it.
What were you driving this summer? I'm sorry?
Dave's old truck.
Oh, it is.
And Dave will be able to use your truck that you presently have to plow out here and water and sewer and.
Right.
Sander and everything, leave the sander right in the phone.
That's brand new, he just bought this one.
Yeah.
And he's got the standing cab to keep his tools inside, and so he got the toolbox in the back one. Those are, we figured that truck 32 without plow and everything, we figured it would work. We got Atwood roads all been crack sealed. It's ready to pave. We did that with the crack sealer we bought last winter and set all up. Saved us a lot of money doing it all ourselves instead of hiring it out. Get that done, on the old roads and all crack sealed. We're gonna be paving, this year we're gonna pave Eagle Acres, Cider Mill, River Street, a section of Atwood Road from the sharp corner up to O'Neill. Then from the intersection of Atwood and O'Neill, down near the airport. That's pretty rough down too, you can see that. Trying to get the landscaping done around the building. This is the new salt shed and in between guys. We had 1 roadside mower quit last month. It was bought in the 90s. So I bought a used one from Dry Homes, the same thing as it. And we've been using that, and we got the old one, same size thing as the old one, so we got the old one parts too. So for $2,000 for the mower, we wanted $8,000 for new wood, so saved a lot of money on that. It's been a real busy summer. They've really been working hard, really a lot of good teamwork. Really doing good at showing them their work. Another thing we're thinking of, I don't know, whether check the legality of it too, to see if we can do it or not. 'Cause, I've had a lot of people complaining about the sidewalks in Old Station Drive and the curbing on it. I'd like to go right up there if we could, take the curbings and sidewalk right out and just pave it full width right up through. I don't know if we could legally do that or not.
That's a town road, isn't it?
The sidewalks are so bad and the curbings are all broke out that we took it out, we could pave the full width and go right up through with a 20-foot road. We'd still have the same amount of room instead of being so far away.
It'd be easier on your plowing too, right?
Yeah, you got a hard time plowing it.
Well, my only concern is would cars be going closer to the residents? Because right now the sidewalk and curbing are keeping them away from
The
the residents.
residents are the ones that park there. That's the reason the road's so narrow, because they always park in the driveway, they always park where the sidewalk is.
Would you have lines? Would you put lines, you know, like they do on the actual road to determine this is the right hand?
But
Or maybe a line that's kind of like we did down here, so it
Sidewalk.
kind of looks like a
Front of the
sidewalk. but it's
apartment
paved.
house.
good in front of the houses is marked off parking areas. We wouldn't have to replace all them curbings, talking about them. The sidewalks bad all the way right up through. And to pave it, I'd probably even pave it this year if we have time, go right up through and just pave it.
That's my only concern is the traffic going closer to the residents. And
Very seldom you
Well, right now, there's only the local residents that pretty much use it because the station's closed, but it could be open again, who
Right.
knows in the future. I think we definitely, if you're gonna do that, you should mark it so that, you know, that it looks like sidewalk, or
Yeah.
at least looks like a walking path, so that cars don't go over there.
Last year, I put no parking signs up, so he parked in the driveway, so we could plow.
There you go.
We took them down this spring.
I don't think there's a legality question, I mean, it's town code, and I don't think there's a rule that says you have to have a sidewalk, and
I don't think so, that's the only issue I wrote down, is whether it would be an issue or not, the sidewalks or the I don't think there is. But I'll look at it.
well, if you look that up, and just send me an email ID.
Sure.
Even I road, I couldn't collect chips on it, 'cause it's snow, 20 feet away. I think it's 20 feet, but chips on it.
So will you be able to get chips money after you do this?
I should be other, then I could use chips money to pay it, too.
Okay.
Or right now,
You
I
can.
can do it.
Yeah.
Pretty much it,
Busy time for you.
Yeah.
I hope it is. It's good.
Heidi, do you have anything to build on?
I do not.
I did email him, and I asked him if he had the primary contracts, I think he,
I did bring the file, because he did mention that.
okay,
And
and
I was just gonna give to you what I have,
okay.
unless there was something you wanted to address during the meeting.
No, he just asked me if there's any other issues, and I think we,
It's
gone
all
over them
resolved.
all with the school, and, I think they're ready to be signed, really.
Okay, I brought them.
So if that's it, we'll go on to resolutions. Okay, the first resolution I have is agreement for the snow removal, Clinton County Highway Department, 2012-13, 2013-14, and 14-15. Snow and ice.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Can we have to do it for 3 years, or can we do it on a year by year? Because what happens if the cost of the material goes up?
Well, these are guaranteed rates, no matter if the fuel goes down or the fuel goes up,
Yeah.
that's their rates, and they have to eat it. If the fuel goes up and it hurts their budget, then that's their agreement. So it's to our advantage if, it's like pre-buying, basically. They're not gonna adjust it. If fuel goes way, way up next year, we've already signed the agreement, so they have to eat the cost. Right, Tim?
Yeah,
No.
it costs us money. That's why I'm.
This is
I'm
how
on the
much
reserve
you're gonna
down.
pay.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean, but I mean, it's, so we can't renegotiate it then.
No.
And we asked them one time to do it year by year, but they wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
Last time we went to their meeting, we said, can we do it year by year because of everything escalating? And they said, no, we gotta do it on a 3-year commitment, so.
Like when fuel and salt were at its all-time high, do you know what the cost was?
Salt is 63. This year's gonna be 65. Okay.
This year, the salt done back up again?
We saved, actually, we made up pretty good, we didn't end up running any out of it, but we made up pretty good, actually.
What about fuel lines?
Fuel, we did pretty good now. Wasn't really a lot of plowing, like sanding here and there, but it's like, we're pushing it, it's good difference.
But this is what all the, well, this is specifically for the town of Chazy, but you would have negotiated all this with, I mean, they had negotiated it all with all the different towns.
Yeah, all the time, every time. Democrat, we can, Silver, kind of, we, Champlain, all of them are signing the same agreement.
That'd be nice if they did it year by year, it sure would be.
But you see already, it says that this represents a 0% increase for 2012-2013 season, and we already have an increase because salt's up from 62 to 65.
Leo said the last contract we had was the same exact thing, first year was 0.
Zero,
Yeah.
next year was 3%, after that, they went up.
Okay, a motion has been made by Councilor Devens, seconded by Councilor Trombley. And we've already had some discussion. Do you have any further? Okay, roll call. Councilor Lattimore,
Yes?
Councilor Dino,
Yes.
Councilor Devens,
Yes.
Councilor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes.
Next one is authorization to pay water and sewer superintendent for the use of his phone.
I thought we settled this a long time ago.
He never had gotten a new phone, he just got his new phone, and now he's responsible for everything. We don't, all we agreed to do is pay him $35 per month. If he's gotta insure it, he's gotta take care of it, I mean, it's his phone instead of, before it was the town's phone. And our price could go up from like $35 to $45 or $50 a month, depending on usage. So what we basically want to give him is a stipend for just a certain amount each month so that we can get in touch with him and he can make calls on behalf of the town, but we're not responsible for the phone anymore, it's his phone, so.
Okay. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Councilor Trombley made the motion, seconded by Councilor Devens. Any further discussion? Roll call. Councilor Lattimore,
No?
Councilor Dino,
Yes.
Councilor Devens,
Yes.
Councilor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes.
The motion was carried. Next one is 2012 budget transfers. Councilor Dino,
Yes.
Councilor Devens,
Yes.
Councilor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes.
And the last one is payment of claims.
I'll make the motion.
Councilor Lattimore made the motion, seconded by Councilor Dino. Any further discussion? Roll call. Councilor Lattimore,
Yes?
Councilor Dino,
Yes.
Councilor Devens,
Yes.
Councilor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Motion adjourned.
I'll make the motion.
Motion to adjourn is made by Counselor Latimer.
I'll second.
Seconded by Counselor Devlin.
Well, I've been taping Chazy since 1987, I think.
Okay, now back in 1987, I was kidless. I had no children back then.
No, I didn't see any here.
Yeah, no. It was funny. I was on Plattsburgh.com. They had the old game. They called it the hometown classic, us against Sub in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Galen watching that. He goes, "Geez, Dad, I wasn't even born yet." He goes, "Look at you. You had hair."
Bushy's got good speed. Good ball control.
She's right in there.
She's hungry for a goal.
She wanted one. And
She's played a great game too, though. Bushy has.
yeah,
played a great game. They all
but Joe, we've had this conversation before. We give it to 5 different players if we wanted to.
That's true.
You know,
Here's one right there.
oh, there goes wide right.
Lapeer too. Now, maybe I might retract that from Kempton and give it to, because Lapeer, I thought the last game, Lapeer, we gave it to Victoria. 5 goals is a wonderful thing, but you know what? Lapeer worked extremely hard that game. Can we?
Wow.
Is this like a makeup call, like refs do?
Well, nothing's been given yet. We were just talking. No, nothing's been given yet.
Okay.
Not until that final whistle when we make the decision here. So anybody can get up to win this award.
Doesn't only have to be the goal scorers.
No. But Joe's like a politician. He's on the fence. He doesn't know which way he's going to go with it. So,
Yeah, but you're on the barbed wire fence.
There's the color we were looking for, Sam. We had to draw it out of him, but we got some color out of him. So I go back to the hometown memory. So I'm all caught up into the game. We're now in the bottom of the 6th. Mr. Sub comes back and ties the game 2-2, and it goes back to the beginning. So something happened.
Something happened?
I said, Calvin, what happened? He goes, "You guys won." But I couldn't watch the end of the game. But it was a tape from 1987. I'm sure it was on CR back then.
Oh yes, definitely.
So there was a shot, and it goes wide over the net.
Well, they might get to that close to that 30 shot mark, Joey. We're talking about earlier.
Yeah, 27 right now.
16-20 left.
I mean, yeah, number 6 for them. It's Wilmette. And for E-Town, it's been a long time since Chazy has had such a dominating performance over the Lions. So obviously the Lions are rebuilding right now.
Last year Chazy took him.